Hi everybody. First of all, thank you very much to everybody who left me nice messages on my YouTube video and what they're doing to me. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I'm just a little person who lives in Thatcham. I've got a little room, my third bedroom, you know, the baby room. That's where I am. And I sit in here for hours researching, looking, people tell me stuff, and I make videos. I just show you some history of Thatcham. I cannot be harmful to the people doing this. But anyway, I wanted to look it up because Thatcham ends up being in the Guinness Book of Records because on that date there, the Second Augustan Legion, religion, marched from the South Country across the Kennet Valley to Thatcham. So basically what they're saying is that Thatcham is one of the oldest towns in England. It makes the Guinness Book of Records for that because it's one of the first places supposedly the Romans settled. But you wouldn't know that because if they'd made buildings and things here, there aren't any. There's a few old houses. Anyway, see here, this is another place that we are sort of makes Thatcham famous because this little chapel is so old. And do you see this little chapel? I'm going to show you some pictures of it in a little bit, how much it's changed, or around it has changed. But I think this is how most churches started. They were little chapels. The people must be buried underground. And if you have a look here, although this one isn't raised like the church, there's a door which goes down. So it's obviously where bodies have been buried. Not now, but hundreds of years ago. Obviously wasn't that big then, was it? And Thatcham couldn't have been that big. But this is the little chapel, I reckon. This is how churches started. And everybody was buried underneath. And then they carried on building and building. But anyway, we're going to take a little look, I think, at this little church. Because it's quite famous. Because it all, well, obviously links into the religion and Romans and everything. The road is so close to it. And on the left here, the road used to go up there. They've cut that off, so you have to go round it and up there. So a little bit more has been left alone. Because obviously it's quite old and we don't know what's under there. And here we go. So look at that. Look how it used to look. And look what's in the background. One of them. And it had buildings. Look at that. The road came out here because look, it's got a little fence around it. It's got hedges. Wow, I never saw it like that. And it was an old blue coat school. But it wasn't very big. It's not a very big place. There it is. The fence isn't there now, so that's an old picture. Another old picture with some building or something next to it. Do you see that there? An old picture of Chapel Street. More stuff there about the Romans, my favourite. Well, of course it had to be the Romans. And the Romans are still here, I think. A little bit more information. It looks like that they did to America, really, isn't it? Go across England, they start here and then they work their way across. And that's if that's true as well. There's a little bit of information. Okay, anyway, now we're going to the church. Now, this church is very old. I mean, here you can see that this bit is different. These bits have all been built on. My dad had his ceremony there, you know, when he was buried last April. He's not buried in that church, he's buried a little bit further on, but this is the church that we had his funeral in. Yes, there you go. That must be, yeah, it must be, I don't know, the different sides of it. And look, there used to be a pond, there's houses there now. A little bit of history. It is quite an old one. Wow, what made me think was, we're going to look in a minute when we see it. For let's go back. That says that that church has been there for more than 10 centuries. Wow. It's a little bit damp in there, I have to say. On here, look. Oh, let's just move it on a bit because I suddenly thought, look at that. No Roman, or all you'd have to put is take that off and put an O in and it would say Roman. So Roman actually isn't far off Norman. Let's just put that O there. North Roman. I don't know. Maybe that's what that really means. North Romans, not Normans. They've just changed their name to the Normans. But anyway, this is a very, very old church. As I said, my dad we had the ceremony for my dad there. And what it is I can't really show it because there aren't any pictures of it, but I know that when you're standing on the road, the church is up there. This land is higher. See, this is higher than here. It's not down here, is it? It's up there. So this church is built up, and probably because, again, the people are buried underneath. That seems what happens. They make their little chapels, and then they bury the people underneath, and then later on they've made them into churches, added all these extra bits on. Anyway, we're going on now, because that's another very old building in Thatcham. Oh yes, and I like that, look. Well, Thatcham comes from Thatcham, and it's been turned into Thatcham because now it's a Saxon village. Yes. And also, I looked that up. What did the Romans call England? Britannia. So now you know where that name comes from. After the Roman conquest, Britannia became the prefer to the Roman province. So the Roman province of Britannia. I didn't know that either. But England seems to be in control of everything, so it's probably not quite like they've told us, is it? But that's the little chapel and the church, and as I say, there you go. It makes the Guinness Book of Records because it's the oldest town in England. Like, you would never know. It says that 25,000 people live here and 42 live in Newbury. Newbury adjoins Thatcham, the next town. It's obviously bigger. And then in Thatcham is this house. Mickey liked this house. From the road you can see that turret. But do you see there? Oh, let's just stop it. These are horrible flats. There's quite a few in there. And then there's a house there. So you see that although it looks very open, it's crammed between things now. Anyway, this is another old building. And that's what it looked like. Look at that. There's no road or anything here. When you look at this one, there's I think that goes into another housing estate. Wow. How many runs on it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 runs. Look at that. Maybe that's another one up there. That's quite an old picture, isn't it? Street in Thatcham, and that is quite old. And there's another nice old building. A little bit of information. So it brings up what it looks like today. But there you can stop and read it if you want. One you know, look, the bubonic plague or the Black Plague. You forget that 13. I mean, if that is true, because we never know anymore, but if that's true and it killed that many people, imagine there wouldn't have been very many people left. But that would have been the 1300s, because we know some things have happened. but they haven't told you how we get out of it and what a disaster economically it was and all that. And they were far more advanced back then. So that's where that, oh, let's have a look. Well, I think it is. And of course the A4, which runs down here, and I used to live in Hungerford on it, was obviously stagecoaches coming from London or Reading or wherever. So there are some old houses left, but there's a lot more modern ones, and obviously a bit more history in the 1700s. Imagine all the engineering for that, and how long that would have really taken, unless you had the equipment. We've got to mention the canal, haven't we? Because the canal goes past Hungerford. Yeah, so these are some of the, there's a few locks there. There's one a little bit further up by the reed beds. There's one, because obviously you can walk all around here, and then there must be another one. So that one says reed beds, and an incredible feat. This is Newbury, where the canal boats are. Quite pretty there, but once you get off the high street, that's a housing estate now, just like Thatcham. It's like Newbury, really. Quite nice there. Anyway, and I must mention the trains. I didn't find it this time. This is one of the first railways, the Thatcham one. It's run by Great Western Railways. It says 1838. Isn't that a little bit younger? Probably younger than that as well. The trains were there longer because they were far more advanced. But anyway, that's Great Western, which has a museum in Swindon. I think something about Didcot there, a railway centre. But trains don't look that bad for the 1800s, do they? Anyway, just adding this bit in. World War, this is where all the prisoners look like that, with part of it left. Now, because there are obviously bits, but I wouldn't have said you'd have put prisoners in there without any windows. It's them seeing how much land, how many houses that the little slaves have got for them. And then this one's talking about, that's just showing the prehistoric settlement and the Roman occupation. But you wouldn't know the Romans had been here, but they're still here. Just called something else. I kind of knew there must have been something at Hennick Lane. What it is that now, where that is, so it would have been this Roman settlement, is now a football pitch, which we're going to see with one that's like I've got AstroTurf on it, one up there. See, I can't show you very well, but you see that it is up and on something. And I always wondered if that, and that's obviously Astro on top there. You've got these pictures and there's other things there, but there aren't any pictures of people looking. I'd have to go and take one myself, and sorry, I've gone past it now. But do you see how different that is? It's got that just. So this is obviously the Roman settlement, and what did they do? They obviously didn't care about this one. They built an AstroTurf football pitch on it. But this is along the A4 again, which obviously the Romans went to Bath, remember? Anyway, there's a little bit of history about Thatcham. Thanks for watching.
Ms. Downs, does Google think that this is a problem, and what is the solution that you're coming up with to address it?
So the first way is by demoting low-quality content and promoting more authoritative content, and the second is by providing more transparency for users. So we're introducing boxes that provide factual information at the top of results that have shown themselves to turn up a lot of information that is counterfactual, such as searching for the earth is flat on YouTube, where you see a lot of...
Your response is to put a box saying, nope, the earth is not flat.
Correct.
As this YouTube is a social media, What right do they have to decide what we watch? I suppose we just don't go to YouTube anymore. That's what happens. Because they do shadow ban you. They do put things like that on, and that's why you won't find them on my videos, because I don't talk about it that much. But why is that put on there when the globe is only a theory as well? They're both theories, and what does it matter which side you're on? It just shows you that we're in totalitarianism, and the place you're watching it from is doing it. Why would they want to put things like that? Why is it their business? Oh yeah, because it's Google that owns them. And Google is the globe. Google owns, well, it's the BlackRock family, and they own YouTube, Google, and Google own, well, they do it in a different way, don't they? Because they own Google, and then Google owns eBay, Facebook, and YouTube. So who are these people? I mean, I've actually wondered if there's some military thing watching us and they can just take you out at source and they'll never even know we existed. But we're quite happy we're putting all these things on there. Why? We can make our own minds up about what we watch. And if no one actually wants to watch my channel, they don't watch. But the reason they're not watching my channel is because this place has shadow banned me for nothing. And it says, well, I'll show you in a minute what it says about my channel. And I'd like your comments, because as I said, I spend hours of my life making these videos. And yeah, I suppose it's slightly conspiracy-like, but that's because they're lying to us so much. Yeah, anyway, let's carry on with the video because I've got a bit more to do. This isn't my video. I've copied a bit of it from this channel here. Thank you very much for that channel, and I hope he doesn't mind because I think he'll like the message going out. We're all in this together. But just what gives them the right to be able to put these things on there? If it's a social media platform, you know, okay, in here someone says, well, we don't want, you know, you don't quite want bullying or terrorism. I understand why there might be some rules in there, but this place is told us we're not allowed to think for ourselves, because once you wake up, there is no going back. You can't pretend it's something they're making up when you know it isn't. And then, you know, when you look at all the NASA documents, they all say flatty, and then they turn it into a globe. You can find those words all over it. I've put a video out on this channel about it. So what gives them the right? Because you'll just make it, you sort of make it go underground. It doesn't mean we'll change our minds, but we just won't talk about it on YouTube. You know, so what do you want? Just us falling over in the cooking lessons?
YouTube played their part in it, and not just cherry picking which videos they wanted to show, but deciding whether or not they wanted you to subscribe to somebody. So on several occasions and with several different content creators, I'd press the subscribe button to then find out several days or several weeks later that I couldn't find that content creator, assuming they'd either been deleted or they'd been censored beyond belief. And of course they had been, because my subscription that was previously made was no longer there. And I know that I hadn't unsubscribed to anybody. And then resubscribing, you'd find again that down the line that the same things reoccurred.
Obviously, I have worked really hard on my YouTube channel. I can't even explain. I probably spend 40-50 hours a week making my videos. And that's what I get. You are harmful to the viewers. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my admin. As said, or I'll say it later in this video, I don't talk about it that much, but I know what the channel was registered at. But look, where are my restrictions? None, 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 and none. And I did notice on here, down here, one of the videos, unfortunately, but they have to do it because restricting, I told you what it does. They hope that less people will watch it then, or less people will see it. There it is. My Statue of Liberty one, but I did take a little bit off the television. It just says copyright. So that's the restriction.
YouTube controls the algorithm. who owns YouTube? Google. These are these big corporations getting way too big. People are finding this out. We don't want them to find this out. This will just completely destroy our agenda that we've worked so hard for. We're losing it because of our own technology that we created. So they had to get involved. Withholding information and knowledge is a form of control.
I've already told you that YouTube have said that I am harmful to the people. Why am I harmful to the people? Do you see any comments here where these people think that I'm harmful? These are just a few messages on that policeman. Of course, the whole tax system seems to be fraud, so that's harmful to the people. These people are quite happy with me. So why would YouTube put that I am harmful to the people? What, because I make you think? Because I show you some stuff? Loads of channels have got conspiracy and do all these things. But me, on my panel, it says that I am harmful to the people. But it seems to me that it's everybody else who's harmful to us. And because I'm showing you, they don't like it. Those are nice comments. Who's horrible to me there? Nobody is complaining. No one is doing nothing. So maybe it's YouTube harmful to me. I just don't know anymore. I just don't like the way that I'm treated by YouTube. I don't like it. And I'll put that in because Brenda was talking about those frequencies. Not saying they're good or bad, but there's two different frequencies. As you can see on my comments, people are happy to message. Sometimes there's more messages than other days, but I am not harmful to the people. It's other people who are harmful to us by lying to us all the time.
Now, everything's fine in court until somebody walks in with a load of shit on you. Everything's fine until somebody out there has evidence that's going to prove you guilty. And that's when you start acting suspicious. That's when you start panicking. That's when you start putting damage control out there, which is inevitably what these bots are, what these trolls are on social media.
This kind of makes me laugh. That the press are telling us about all these problems when they're the ones that help put this video, the picture together. Because they work hand in hand, these people. But what it was is I realised that on my video essay where, you know, the Kate's Mother's Day, I missed one out. And there's just no way you can get past this one. And I said in my other video, who's harmful, me or her, putting this video out? But she probably didn't do it. The matriarch did it. And the press, why are they suddenly, look, there you go, look at that. Part of her jumper's missing, just here. So who is harmful? Am I doing things like that? No, I'm not. To be honest, I don't even think her jumper looks right. Here, look, it goes down there and then up there. So that doesn't look right either. So they've missed that one out by putting the circle on it. What, that they're suddenly saying, oh, look, there's something wrong with the picture. But basically, they're the ones doing it. They're the ones, you know, when you get to something, so you've got, say, Trump or Biden and the media are there. You get the royal family and the media there. They're the only ones allowed there with these people, supposedly. So it's them doing it. And now they're going to tell you about all the problems. I mean, I suppose, as they say, no news is bad news. But, I don't know. I just find this very weird, this whole thing. That kid with this one, with his crossed finger. Look, let's go back to he's crossed his finger in the weirdest way. And she's not wearing her wedding ring there. That is also very bizarre. Maybe she's left William. But they like all this gossip about them. But, you know, all these things are going on and they're allowed to get away with lying to us. And the one thing you would think wouldn't be a problem, because it's up to us if we believe that. You know, it's our opinion. They have to blanket and do all those problems, cut it out, the whole thing. It's all just ridiculous when really these people Well, I think they all need to go, myself.
Thing about it is, they didn't come up with censorship to censor conspiracy videos. Conspiracy videos have always been out there. You've always been able to read about conspiracy videos, watch about conspiracies on TV.
And once they seen that they could easily get by with this, then Facebook started doing the same thing. It was, however, a little bit more difficult for Facebook to get away with this because they were supposed to be a family and friendly orientated platform. And therefore, Facebook had a lot of lawsuits and civil suits filed against them that you don't know about that's been kept hidden. And they do their best to keep these stories hidden because they don't want the general public knowing that they could actually file civil suits against Facebook for infringing on civil rights by their censorship.
If Facebook have been put through all this so that they're not being so biased to everyone and having an agenda, why hasn't it happened to YouTube? Why is YouTube rolling ahead with an agenda that isn't most people's? Why are they allowed to get away with it, but Facebook wasn't?
I'm sure you have concluded, based upon what we've asked, that we are deeply offended by censoring of content inappropriately by Facebook. Examples have been raised: a Roman Catholic university, a state Senate candidate in Michigan. I would be offended if this censoring were occurring on the left as well as the right, and I want you to know that. And do you take from what we have indicated so far that in a bipartisan fashion, Congress is offended by inappropriate censoring of content? My point is that we don't favor censoring in any way, so long as it doesn't involve hate speech or violence or terrorism, and of course the examples today indicate quite the contrary.
Let me go to something you introduced. You introduced Laura Murphy. So you know who Laura Murphy is because you said her name, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you hired her as a consultant, and in your opening statement, you talked a lot about civil rights. I think we should probably phrase it a little differently, that you work with civil rights work is because as a result of the number of lawsuits that you've had. NAACP, even Secretary Ben Carson filed a fair housing lawsuit against you for violation.
Research it. And then, of course, for extra measures, they shadow ban your account, they delete comments out, and they mute notifications going out to your subscribers and making it impossible for people to even find you in the search engine at all. And that same censorship detaining wall on Facebook starts out with these algorithm groups, which mainly consist of trolls and shills. Use these groups to lure in people who are new, to people who are researching, trying to find out information. So they join these groups thinking they're going to get information, but in return they get false information and narratives. Video, they are right there watching your every move and handing it over to the fact checkers, and then the fact checkers mark your video as false information so nobody will pay attention to it. Then after they do this to you several times, they will eventually suspend or disable your account. So with all that being said, let's end the video on this note right here. If this is so stupid, so dumb, why is the government and social media spending so much time, money, and effort to keep it suppressed? Why do we have what you call debunkers sitting in their bedroom all day making videos trying to prove that the earth is not... I'm serious now. Come on, think about that, people. I mean, come on, let's talk intelligence here. If you don't believe something, most of the time you don't even entertain the thought. You don't even entertain the thought. But they're suppressing it on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere, spending so much time trying to shut people up and keep them quiet and ban their videos where nobody can watch them. That's all I'm saying. Think about that.